Good morning. My name is Jerry. I live in East San Diego, and I'm going to show you how to reinforce a lifetime shed. They're made of plastic, they're rather lightweight, but not only how to reinforce it, but to put in heavy-duty shelves. Mine are 2 feet wide, 2 foot wide shelves, and also a dividing wall. So I'd like to show you how I've done it, and maybe you can get some ideas. This is a 15-foot by 8-foot lifetime shed. I got it at Home Depot with a 10% discount. It was around $1,600, including shipping. So let me show you what I've done, and then I'll tell you how I did it. You can see I've got a lot of wood here, actually over 30 2x4s. Back up a little bit. 2x4s, I use Simpson ties for the entire shed. There's no nails in this shed, and I do not have any screws or bolts in the plastic walls to support this reinforcement. There are no screws from the outside in. There's no way that you're going to have any leaks with this. I think it's the best way to go. But you can see I have a lot of wood here, a lot of bolts. This the shelf is about 2 feet wide, goes 3 sides of the shed, so we've got the equivalent of about a third of the floor space just in shelf space now. You could add another one really without too much trouble. You can see some of the reinforcement I've done. All Simpson ties, all screws, all bolts. No nails, no toenails in this shed. I've got a wall separating the shed about 3 feet from the other end. There's a door over there. I'm going to have 4 bookcases over there, so I wanted that completely separated. So we have a wall here. I put double studs down the middle so I could hide the seam and also make it easy to mount the plywood. So let's take a quick look at the other side. You'll see what it looks like. So this is roughly 30 inches. That's how wide the bookcase is. Plywood all put in with screws. You can see I've mounted it to the roof. Now I did not complete the corners because I did not want any 2x4s in here to hinder the bookcases, but I left them like that so I could add a corner post, and then I could put a floorboard in there later if I wished to put shelves in here. So that's what the wall looks like. It's 1/2-inch plywood. So let me show you the tricks to make this shed. No nails, no screws from the outside. If you look, I don't have any screws on the bottom, the walls, the side, the roof. And yet I have to tell you, those that have seen this said if we ever have an earthquake in California, run for the lifetime shed. This is one solid shed. The walls actually float. They're still rather sturdy. You can see I used, spinning around in circles here, you can see I used these steel supports that the shed comes with, but only to help support the plastic wall. They were free. I'm not using their intended use was for shelves. But let me show you the hardware I used. You'll need a gun, either a battery operated one like this or even electric one would work. The key of these, I would definitely use these instead of the nails. It's a lot easier. They're very, very fast. Doesn't take long to put them in. They are rather expensive. They will go in through these Simpson ties. And to be honest, you really only need 2 per shelf initially, or 2 on each side of the Simpson tie. 2 would be sufficient, but I have to tell you, 4 of them, let's go look at it. 4 all the way around looks really cool. Might be a little overkill, a little more sturdy, but you could get by with just 2. If you do decide to use 4 like I did, I used almost 500, 5 boxes. Started the 5th box that looked like this from Simpson. There's 100. Here's a trick also. Look at this number right here, 9. Don't use the 10. 10's a little larger in diameter, but you'll have a lot of problem with it splitting the 2x4, especially if you put more than 2. I don't have near as much trouble with a 9. So get the 9s, they're plenty strong. These are 1/4 inch bolts. For the shelves, 4 inches long, they're plenty strong enough. Use a washer on those. 4 inch, this is a screw type bolt. 4 inch threaded bolt for your shelves. This is what's going to support the roof and hold everything to the structure. And then because my foundation is concrete, I used 1/2 inch bolts. These are 4 1/4 inches long. If you have a plywood base, you could use that as well. Just you won't use a bolt like this. You'll use something like this. I would use a little bigger one. I'd probably go 3/8. This is 1/4. I would go 3/8 and at least that long. Ideally, to go through your plywood into the 2x4 or 4x4 behind your plywood, maybe 2x6. Ideally hit that, but if not, I think you'll be fine just running through this plastic floor and the plywood. But I would put at least 1 every 2 feet. So that would be 4 or 5 per 2x4. It'll give it the strength to use. I use 2 1/2 inch bolts. And what I did, I could have put that in one big long board. It's too difficult to handle a board that long, so I used 2. But set the board down, the 2x4 down, and then measure from each end about what would support it, where you want to go. Drill it from this side. This side was a 1/2 inch, and then use your concrete drill bit and drill from this side again. And when you pound those in, if you have concrete, just bring the nut back, put the nut on there till it just touches these threads, and then you can hammer on that without worrying about either distorting this or messing up your threads. Just make it flush. You can hammer on there with a big hammer with no problems. That's if you have concrete bolts. So let me show you really the heart of this shed. Why is it so rigid and solid? The key is right here. Instead of mounting to the plastic walls, you're going to mount to the overhead trusses. And really initially, I'll show you quickly over here what not to do. I was going to use 2 bolts. I used 2 bolts just on this one board. It was really a pain getting the nuts on, and it was way overkill. So after putting this one board in, I decided, you know what, it doesn't need near that much bolt power. So I have a single bolt. This is a Simpson tie. And here's the key. This trough here, your panels, back up, each one of these panels, one here and one here, there's a seam between them. They are not sealed. So that this funnels the water off your roof and outside. If you drill holes in here to mount this, anywhere in here, they're going to leak. I don't think you're going to be able to really seal it. And if you drill them in the side, you want to get away from this radius. And the way we do that, I've marked it. You're going to grind this corner. When you grind this corner, this will sit, I'll show you from this side, maybe not. Anyway, you can see this one, the corner is ground. If I didn't grind the corner, it would be sitting like this, and that hole with the arrow would be real close to the radius. and you can very well leak water out of that. But if you get it up here a ways, perhaps halfway, maybe a little more, where that hole is above this radius, and believe it or not, we have been in a drought in California, but I've had two heavy rains in the last few days to check this out, and it works absolutely perfect. Here's another thing. Drill this hole. You're going to use 1/4-inch bolts. Drill this hole a 1/4 inch. Don't touch these. Don't touch these. Drill this one a 1/4 inch. Grind that. Drill that a 1/4, and this is the most important thing I'm going to tell you today. Do not hold this and drill it at the same time. When your drill bit goes through that, it is going to catch. And when it does that, it's going to spin this thing as fast as that drill is turning. In your hand, you're going to have some pain. Don't do it. Put it in a vise. Hold a pair of vice grips. Keep your hands away from this. Drill this one hole 1/4 inch. So how do we put these in once you do that? Well, once you mount this first, just snug, put the bolts through it. And by the way, use this hole for a template to drill that hole. So you're going to set this up here, mark it with a magic marker, and do this. When you mark the other side, mark them both. Hope this comes out okay on the video. Mark both of them. Don't try to drill one side all the way through. Drill this side, use your template, drill that side, mount this up there, just snug with the bolt. It'll sit hanging just like that, flat, like this is now without this board. Have someone hold this up or clamp it up. Take a pencil, hopefully you can see this. Mark this side and this side, and don't forget to mark this front side. And now when you take it on the ground and you set this on there, you can put these, you can see I only use 2 here, more than adequate. Here's one with 4, more than adequate to hold that, and then lift it into place, slide the bolts through. I know I'm probably moving a little fast, but I want to make this video short. Slide the bolts through, put the nuts on, and believe it or not, there is room in here to get your drill with a socket, and you can snug those up without even using a ratchet. That is the heart of the shed, connecting the roof to this, and every single truss, every single truss has a 1/4 inch bolt all the way around, and those mount to this, and this is rock solid. Now your roof is rock solid to this, the floor is rock solid. You have one tough shed, one lifetime shed. Okay, after that you'll put these struts in. I put them in about every 2 feet. It doesn't have to be exact. You could put less, I guess. I thought it looked good and it gives you a lot of area to mount your shelves. So what you do is cut this wood to go into place, and don't make it too tight. The tighter you make it, you start lifting your roof up, which you don't really want to do. Just a light fit, light snug fit, and put these on first, at least on this board first. Slide it into place, mark it where they go, use your drill, and it's really a ball putting these screws in. You can do both sides just in a matter of a minute or 2, so it's very fast. You don't have hammering, you don't have alignment with trying to keep everything in alignment by hammering. There's no toenails, incredibly strong. Okay, you've done that all the way around. Corners, I use 2 of them. You could get by with 1 2x4, but I use 2 mainly. It's ease of mounting these zips and ties. And so you got the corners, you got all the way around. I put this board in the middle of the window initially so it wouldn't hide the light very much. And also one other thing you might want to watch is when you put this board in from the wall, same thing over here. Here's the other side, the corner, here to here. That's the width of your shelf. So don't have one of them 24 inches and one of them 20 inches. They need to be the same. Same thing over here. I know we're moving around fast. Make sure this is going to be the width of your shelf. Width of your shelf. Of course, depending on how you mount it on here, you can have the shelf mounted on the outside or the inside, but this will determine it being parallel. Okay, so now you put all your studs up and you're ready to put the shelf. So basically it just needs support on the back side for your plywood. I used 1/2 inch plywood, and it needs support on the front. So the back side, I use those 4-inch screws, 4-inch, 1/4 inch. There's one there, one in the middle, and one on the end. So that supports that side. Do that first. Second, you're going to mount the front side of your shelf, and it's going to have nuts and washers on the back side. So now you've got this less than 8, like 7 foot something, 2x4 all the way across here. And notice this, we do not have any support out here, anything getting in the way on your shelf. And yet it's incredibly strong. You could put 3 people up here. But underneath here, there's no need for any support. That's the beauty of this. So it's totally open underneath. So you can put wheelbarrows and cement mixers and so forth underneath, and on top you can mount your shelf. Okay, last thing. You're going to, on this one, this is the only place I put Simpsons on both sides. I didn't do it on the bottom, really not necessary. But on this board I put the Simpson on this side and on the other side as well to support this front edge. That's less than 8 feet. A 2x4 did that. And while I'm standing here, I'll show you one other. Instead of using a big long 14, 15 foot board across here, it's easier to use 2x4s, and then you can put a tie like this to hold them together for that extra support. So now I know someone's going to say, well, why didn't you fill in the back? Back here, if you put small cans of paint or something, they're going to fall down there and fall on the floor. That is true, but I don't plan on putting anything small on any of these shelves. And so I really wasn't concerned about filling in the back. Some people would put in a 2x4s here, a lot of work, a lot of toenail. But I would say the easiest way to do this, if you wanted to fill those in, I almost did it by going, you know what, I just aren't going to use it. But when you put this particular piece of plywood in, just cut it 3.5 inches wider, slide it into place, and then mark these notches where it's going to slide inside here. Same thing over here. So every 2x4 will have a notch. Doing this left-handed. A notch here, and now this piece of plywood will slide all the way into the wall, and then nothing will fall down if you're concerned about that. So that really is it. If you have any questions, let me know. I think you could use this same principle for any lifetime shed. Once again, this is incredibly tough. I mean, this is rock solid. This shed is one solid shed. It cost me around $400 for all the hardware and the wood, 3 pieces of plywood 4x8. So I hope you find this helpful, and I do appreciate all those others who have put so many helpful videos on the lifetime shed, and that's why I decided when I was finished that I needed to try to offer people my help and my experience. So you have a great day, and may God bless you.